A warm welcome to Podcast for Business with me, Steve Twynham. Podcast for Business is all about helping businesses to share knowledge, expertise, details of workshops, events and seminars with the wider business community. Today's podcast is brought to you in partnership with Make It York Business. Make It York are committed to finding the right support to help your company start up, grow or locate in York. Their dedicated business team offers startups, growing, established and relocating businesses access to a wealth of information, advice and support, including startup and growth, access to finance and funding, skills and training. There's a property search, international trade and much more. If you'd like more information about this, check out the website yorkmeansbusiness.co.uk. Sit back and enjoy Podcast for Business. In today's podcast, I'll be exploring what you can do when the bank says no, when you're trying to raise some money for your business. In today's podcast, Andy Munson joins me from TML UK. Andy shares some great information about how he helps businesses raise the funds they require when the bank says no. I talk with Andy next on today's Podcast for Business.
Like to share news about your business, event, seminar or workshop? Simply email steve@stevetwynham.com.
Well, it's a wonderful day in the wonderful city of York, sat in the courtyard. It's a lovely hotel and I'm joined by Andy Munson. Now, I've got a question for you if you're listening today. What do you do when the bank says no, if you want to borrow some money for your business? Well, Andy is a business development manager with TML Finance and Advisory. I'm just going to find out about the help that is out there. Good morning, Andy. And background music as well, you may hear.
Yes, it's lovely, lovely background music.
Yeah, so how are you? All right?
I'm very well, thank you.
So Andy, tell me a little bit about TML and how you use and you support businesses.
So TML Finance and Advisory has been running for 4 to 5 years now. We are a business finance brokerage firm. Essentially, we focus on SMEs, but can help businesses of any size in their challenge to find funding. As we know, there's a lot of challenges now with the banks. They've restricted the amount of lending to certain clients, certain industries. So essentially what I can do is, through my connections, we work with well over 100 lenders. So if you have a funding requirement of any size, then we will hopefully be able to support you in sourcing that funding for you.
Okay, so you could be a one-man band?
Yeah, definitely. So I've got a range of clients at the moment who go all the way from a one-man painter and decorator with fairly low turnover, all the way through to firms that have 100-strong workforce. It really is open to all sorts of options.
Right, okay. And in terms of, so they come to you, I guess everybody's got probably a different need, really.
Yeah, definitely.
So this is not just like an off-the-shelf product.
No. Okay. No, we tend to provide, and we pride ourselves on providing a bespoke solution. So a lot of the time, clients may think that they are looking for a certain loan over a certain amount of time. I'll give you an example whereby I was recently dealing with a recruitment firm who wanted to expand, and they needed £30,000 to help with their cash flow and to grow the business. Rather than looking at an unsecured loan route, we actually, after speaking with them and getting a real understanding of their holistic challenges, where they wanted to go and the background of the business, we were able to point them in the direction of an invoice finance facility, which actually provided them with a much better cash flow solution to their needs. That helped them to grow, take on more staff and then grow the business that way. So that's an example where we can talk through the different options available to you, the pros and cons of everything available, and then it's up to you as to what you decide.
Because I think, Andy, in a lot of people's head, including mine at one point, is we just think of the banks, don't we? That's it. And when the bank says no, we don't know where to go. Yeah. But there are many lenders out there, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we work, as I say, with well over 100 lenders, Steve. And I was in a network meeting recently in York where I turned around to the group. I think there were 15 to 20 people, many of which were business owners. And I posed the question, where would you go if your bank said no and you needed funding. And there genuinely was blank faces back at me. No one really knew. There are some lenders that are a bit more well known in the market. Funding Circle, for example, we've all seen their adverts with the flying toys going off into the sky. However, each lender has their own specific lending criteria. Some will need a minimum turnover, some will need a minimum trading time. Funding Circle, for example, need a minimum of 3 years. Therefore, if you're a business that is either a startup or hasn't been trading for that long, and that's the only lender that you know, you're immediately going to be on the back foot because you don't know where to go. With regards to the banks, I will very often, one of the first questions I ask my clients is, have you approached your bank yet? Now, there are a number of reasons why people are somewhat reluctant to do that now. You go back 10, 15 years, maybe longer, there were business bank managers in your branch, your local branch, that knew you, knew your business, knew your turnover, had helped you with your accounts potentially, had put you in touch with an accountant. They were familiar with your business. Sadly, as a lot of us have seen, those branches either don't exist anymore, or certainly that role does not exist, meaning that when you go into your bank to ask for help, whether it be to grow or because your business is potentially struggling and you need funding, that you get put on the phone to potentially a completely different country with someone that doesn't know you or your business. They will pigeonhole you, and it's, as we know, we've seen through the economic climate lately, the banks are withdrawing funding all over the place. Overdraft facilities are being removed. They're no longer willing to lend to certain industries. A prime example with the Carillion issue last year. A lot of lenders, including the banks, immediately withdrew not only new funds but also existing facilities from the construction industry, and that's not fair to the small and medium-sized enterprises that do work in that industry because one big company went under. So essentially, a lot of people are not willing to go to the banks because there's no relationship there. There's also the time taken to be able to get not only a meeting with the bank but also a decision back. I've had feedback from clients where they have been waiting for a decision back on an unsecured loan for 3 months.
Goodness gracious. You know, Andy, you took me back in time there to when I was setting up many moons ago and sat with the bank manager actually presenting a business plan, a cash flow. They were questioning me in the right way. They understood me as a person because they knew me through the family. We'd got a relationship, and it wasn't just tick box says no. Yeah,
exactly. That's,
And God, how so? You've got these bespoke solutions, and when you're looking at this criteria, so you've got the criteria. So I guess fairly quickly you can not say no, but you can advise a client on say where to go or where we can help.
So with regards to the criteria, yes, Steve, I can certainly help. I think the key thing is setting expectations with clients. For example, if you have a business which has £100,000 turnover annually, it's unlikely that you're going to be able to obtain a £500,000 unsecured business loan. Where I can come in and really support with my expertise is by knowing and working with so many lenders. They each have their own lending criteria. So by undertaking a fact find, which takes about 5 minutes with a client over the phone, I can understand their annual turnover, both previous years and current year. I can understand more about their trading history. I can understand more about how long they need any finance over, and by doing that I'm then able to compare that against the multitude of lenders that we work with to filter down how many people that we know, and I can then set the expectation with the client, hopefully around price, hopefully around the likelihood of obtaining funding, and also the amount. So by working with so many different lenders, we have a wide range. We can go to the entire market. Unlike a lot of brokers, we are not tied to specific lenders, so we can go anywhere, and we will often source the best funding for you. But by working against the criteria, it means that you as an SME business owner getting expectations set right from the beginning.
Okay. And Andy, we're in the wonderful city of York today.
Yeah.
So do you just work around York and Yorkshire, or can you work with anybody?
Yeah, so I cover the north of England, but the business TML Finance and Advisory, we cover all over the UK, including Northern Ireland, and on some occasions Southern Ireland. So there's, depending on the country that you're based in, there's obviously different legislation, but we cover all over. And there's various BDMs, such as myself, around the country, so you will always have a local point of contact.
Okay, and if people want to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
So the best way to do that is either through my mobile number, which is 07584 199 622. You can get me any time of day on that. I do not just work 9 to 5. Alternatively, email, which is Andy, A-N-D-Y, at TML, Tango Mike Lima, .uk.net.
Andy, thanks for joining us today and sharing that valuable information, and enjoying the well, I don't know what you'd call this music that's playing in the background.
I'm not quite sure, to be honest. It sounds like lift music.
Or chilled or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, whatever you're doing the rest of the day, have a good one.
Cheers, and you, Steve. Thank you.
A big thank you for taking the time out to listen to Podcasts for Business. Podcasts for Business, all about helping businesses share knowledge, expertise, details of events, workshops and seminars. If you'd like to get in touch, you'd like to feature your business or let me know about an event, all you need to do is simply email steve@stevetwynham.com. Also check out podcastforbusiness.co.uk. Podcast for Business is produced and presented by Steve Twynham. Copyright applies.